Let's check in on the fallout in the tourism industry now and catch up with John Hart, who's the chair of the Australian Chamber of Commerce Tourism Division. Good to talk to you again, John. Look, suddenly, one infection, the only international border we have open is closed. Just how drastic is this for tourism businesses on both sides of the Tasman?
Look, it's extraordinary, isn't it, Chris? And we only had it confirmed last week that New Zealand was the only green zone, the only low-risk country in the world, according to our authorities, and that's changed overnight because of one case. It's absolutely extraordinary. The one-way travel zone wasn't working terribly well for us in any case, but now we've got no movement and an indication from New Zealand that we're not going to have two-way travel anytime soon. We really need to get some certainty here.
Look, yeah, we all understand what's going on here. We all know the valuable role that overseas quarantine in particular has played in keeping Australia in such a COVID-free situation, I suppose. But one case, sure, it's just absurd. And so how do you plan for this and what do you expect to happen over the coming weeks?
Well, Chris, we really need to get back to this discussion about certainty, about what happens when we get what sort of health outcome. If we have one case, that surely can't mean that we change from a green zone to an amber zone or whatever the calibration is. We need to know what happens at what trigger point. And we're still not on that page. We're not on it internationally, and we're not on it domestically either. I mean, we still don't know what constitutes the trigger for a shutdown. We know that there's a hotspot formula for the National Cabinet, which is 3 days of 30 cases, but that seems to mean nothing domestically and certainly doesn't mean anything internationally.
See, this is the problem. It's not just the issue in itself, the shutdown with New Zealand, that's a problem here. I reckon it's a real problem because we need Canberra, we need the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, to be pressuring the states to give more certainty to open up state borders. Now, he's just destroyed his own authority to do that. How can he press the states to open up when he's been so preemptive when it comes to New Zealand?
Well, that's absolutely right. And what we've seen, Chris, is a formula in place. We need to have a clear pathway to international travel restart. We've formulated the first step on that pathway by opening one way from New Zealand to Australia, and now we've moved to shutting that down overnight over one case. That is just totally absurd. I mean, that is not proportionate. It is just totally risk averse. And this is more than just a one-way travel zone. This is the first step in our international restart, and we've compromised that because we've got nervous about one case. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it is absurd. It's so absurd that New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has called it out, and she's a lockdown fetishist of the highest order. Let's have a look at what she had to say today.
Prime Minister, what was your reaction when Scott Morrison called last night, and how frustrating is it?
Oh, I certainly expressed disappointment that decision had been made. I conveyed the confidence that we have in our systems. We're seeing the impacts of that decision on travellers. We need to have some confidence if we're in a trans-Tasman travel arrangement that we won't see decisions that necessarily impact people when it may not be necessary.
Well, given the way New Zealand's treated Australia, she's got some nerve, but she happens to be right.
Absolutely, Chris. But yeah, I mean, we were very disappointed that they wouldn't open travel from Australia to New Zealand. So, yes, I guess now it's reciprocal disappointment. But the bottom line is this is more than just that one-way zone. This is about formulating our international restart, the first country to do so. I mean, what does this say about what the next step looks like? We just do not know what follows down this path now, and that's undermined confidence for people to travel. It's undermining confidence with the industry that we're going to actually get back to some sort of international movement, let alone what it does to domestic travel, because this now shows that not only do we have a situation where we've got domestic borders closed overnight, we're prepared to do the same internationally. People will just not travel in that environment where they can't have certainty over whether they're actually going to be able to make that trip.
Hell of a worry. Good luck getting some certainty, John Hart. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Chris.
John Hart there, tourism industry. Boy, what a tough time it is. 2021 is supposed to be better for them, not shaping up that way so far.